Hey, welcome to Unshaved. I'm Takesha, and this podcast came to be simply because I wanted to archive conversations between me and my mother. And because we talked about pursuing a creative project together for a long time now, I just figured starting a podcast would kind of fit the bill for both. Our lives and relationship have had many twists, turns, highs, and lows, and the way we've gotten through them always started with raw conversations. We're consistently pursuing a deeper understanding of not only each other and our relationship, but also of ourselves. If the topics and conversations explored in this space help you to navigate your journey in any way, then that's even better. So whether it's just myself or if I'm joined by my mom or other guests, you can expect content that is explorative, honest, and maybe even just a little bit outside the lines. Welcome to Unshaved. Thank you to those of you who are returning listeners, as well as to those of you tuning in for the first time. So over the last several weeks, we've released parts of a conversation I've had with my good friend Nicolette, and this is the fourth part of the release. So if you haven't had an opportunity to listen to the other episodes, I highly recommend that you catch up on those and then come back to this concluding episode. This is where we continue our discussion on hypocrisy, sense of self, as well as our opinions on sharing one's truths and how it ultimately makes for more progress in life as well as in relationships.
Hypocrisy is simply a measure of how well you can lie to you. The better you are at lying to you, the bigger the hypocrite you are. Hypocrisy is a big negative bully bouncer standing in the doorway of your better self. You're not going to get any better at lying to you. Hypocrisy is a disease that causes more damage to you than those you afflict with it.
It's very powerful. We get out of so many negative mindsets of like victimhood and things like that, understanding that we do co-create and the things that we are experiencing in our lives have a lot to do with the choices that we make, the energy that we live in, how we vibrate. So you can lie to whoever you want. Some people might say you can lie to me, but like you can't lie to God or something like that. Like you can lie to me, but lying to yourself will be the biggest detriment you could ever do to yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you're doing such a disservice to yourself. You're actually doing more damage to you. If you're not depressed, you will be. Because that all comes to a head after a while. That compacts all that negative energy and all that, because you know who you are deep inside. If you fool everybody else, you look at you sleep with you at night, you know who you are. Eventually that's going to come to a head.
Yeah. Being that
and eventually
out of alignment.
You're going to have to make a decision,
Yeah. It's self-defeating, and being that out of alignment, like we said before, you can't have hypocrisy and happiness simultaneously.
Nope. No. Now there are folks that make a living from this, but the same still applies.
Make a living?
Yeah. I mean,
so?
Okay, I mean, you have certain entertainers. You have, even like some pastors who will
putting forward
yes,
personas and absolutely, I get. Yes,
yeah. But the same applies, but it's elevated now because everybody knows you.
But I think
and
those
you feel
type
like,
of I'm trying to be mindful here because I haven't put a lot of thought into this, but just my knee-jerk reaction. My knee-jerk reaction is like, those kind of, that's something people get off of that. Like that's much different when you're talking about making it a lifestyle, because people feel separate from the jobs that they do. Like they're like, this is what I do for a living. It doesn't mean that this is me. Like, I'm trying to think here for a second,
well, I guess what I'm coming from is the folks who are well known. And when I say hypocrite in that sense, these are people who are well known for telling you how to live your life, for telling for criticizing, the mass
Oh,
public on,
yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
not living like this, you're not X, Y, and Z, and you
Okay.
should be doing this, and you're not.
Mm-hmm. And right after they tell you how much smoking is bad for you and you shouldn't be doing it, they go light up as soon as they finish. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, I
They
see what
know
you're
the
saying.
drugs, but they're gonna go roll one at the end of this commercial.
Yeah.
And we live in an age like you think we don't know.
Yeah, you really calling them out. Like, no, I wasn't even thinking about that.
Get it.
I'm
But I
just
mean,
thinking of
that's the other level, but it's like, I understand, like, for the most part, we're speaking about, you know, the human being on this level, like, you know, who are not out in the public eye, like your average person. I get it. But I just had a thought,
no,
of those
that's
folks that
real.
do this for a living.
The dissonance is real.
Yeah.
The dissonance is real. And I definitely know, like we would say, like non-celebrity types, average people. When I say average, simply that you aren't in the public eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know people like that who definitely have a lot of cognitive dissonance,
Yeah.
and will frown upon one thing and not truly even acknowledge the way they actually do it. There's a bunch of excuses why, oh, no, that doesn't count. Like, I bet it does count. You know what I mean? It counts. You just don't want it to count in this scenario because it doesn't serve the story you're telling yourself and that you're telling others. But it
Yeah.
counts.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, they can also come from a place of, well, I've already built my platform based off of this. So if I'm open about the fact that I am not what I say I am, then that can hurt my whole situation. It's possible, but it's also possible that if you do live in your truth, I would think you would gain more respect.
Because you have to think about, what are you doing and why are you doing it? If your platform is about inspiring, helping, like, these are things that people deal with and go through. So when you hide your truth, it only
Mhm.
isolates you more from the real human experience, you
Mhm.
know. And I mean, I know we all don't think the same. I don't think that that's necessary or possible. But there is a lot to be gained from a sense of, I don't know if the word transparency is the one I want to use, just a sense of just showing that you're human, you know? Um,
A sense of humanness, really.
yeah, I was going to say that, but because I'm still, this is a thought that I'm just working on here. I'm just like, how would I say that? What is the best word for that? But anyway, yeah. Um, I've talked about this with my mother in another episode where, I appreciated that she didn't come to me from a level of like, the way she just wanted me to see her rather than who she was. She met me where I was and came there. She met me where I was, and she met me there in her truth as well, rather than not the mother maybe that she wanted to be. She came to me as the mother that she was.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's why I love her.
she loves you too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, she she what, the way I, when you introduced me to her, like, I'm like, I see where Keisha gets it from. She's not only is, she's going to give her genuine self, but she has a way of pulling out the genuineness in you, even if it's not pretty, but having also a sense of understanding, of where you are at the time, where you're coming from. And that means a lot. Even now, and I tell her often how much I appreciate her for that, and how much I appreciate her for you.
So, shout out, mommy. Yeah. Thanks. Mom. So, yeah, but it just helps us to get through things when we just can be truthful. Lying, it doesn't really get you but so much. It's nothing that's really lasting. Anyway.
No.
Because usually what is done in the dark comes to light. It all usually comes to the light at some point anyway.
Absolutely. Sometimes you'll even tell on yourself. Some of us aren't good at lying. I know I'm not.
I know. I don't know why this came about. I was just thinking about how, like, I remember my mother asked me a question. I was a teenager. I was cleaning the bathtub. She walked in the bathroom and she was like, I don't necessarily want to go into the question, but I just looked and I was like, And I turned back around. I was just like, I'll just stay quiet. I'd rather just not say much.
Yeah.
But, and that's the thing, and what I know to be true about me now, I may not have known it to be true 10, 15 years ago, So these are things that evolve, and that's natural.
Mm-hmm.
So I would hope that people are encouraged to start somewhere and being okay with who you are. And if you're not okay with who you are and where you are, that's something that you can work on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'll be the first to tell you it's not easy. I'm still doing the work. I don't even think the work ever stops, but I think once you start to live in truth, it becomes easier. But the work is necessary.
Yeah.
I see life in a totally different way. I see my interactions with people totally different. Like we talked about earlier, I can totally appreciate the experiences that I've had with people. And I can also see the lessons that I've learned with these interactions with people. And folks have told me the lessons that they learned from, their interactions with me.
And it makes it easier to identify these lessons.
Yes, it does. And it also gives you a barometer of where you are, because when you hear people say, hey, you're going to keep seeing that again, until you pass that test, you're going to get tested again. You're going to get tested again.
Yes.
And the environment around you gives you a good barometer of where you are, how much you've grown. The people who are around you and their energy gives you a great idea of where you are in your own growth.
Mm-hmm.
But some folks in some situations come into your life to teach you those lessons, to put up that mirror of you. I've said the University of You. I got that from Zoe Williams too. But
you got that from who? Oh, Zoe
Williams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But everything really is about you learning yourself, like you're learning life through the way in which you interact with the world and the way in which you interact with yourself. If you don't find that truth within yourself, you can't find genuineness anywhere outside of that. You question everything.
Yes, because when we talk about love and life, like you can't receive more than you're able to give.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Your the limit you are in which you're able to give is the limit in which you're able to receive it.
Hmm. You put into it what you get out, you know, or vice versa. Wait, do you get out what you put?
Well, basically, all I was saying is that, like, if I'm struggling in areas of accepting love or understanding love, then the love that I give is limited to some degree, right? I
Hmm.
can't give you more than what I understand. So I think that that's what's really important about really learning yourself, knowing yourself, and understanding that first. Um, and like lessons, it's so interesting. You know, recently, I mean, I've been reflecting and I'm thinking back like 15 years or so, maybe slightly more, but thinking about uh, interactions and the lessons that those things have taught me even now that I may not have quite gotten back then. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's ever happened to you. If you've had someone in your life and, or just an experience or relationship, whatever the case may be, where you may not have fully understood it at that time, but as you grow and you look back and you evaluate the the distinct differences, or how you, like, say you go back in your mind, you think, oh, I would have, now who I am now, I would have said that then. But it's like, why didn't I say that then? Who was I then that prevented me from being able to go into that particular truth at that time? What is the difference there? And what was that showing me? And have I learned it now? Or am I still faced with it in a different way? That's where we talk about those repeating lessons, because it may not be every other month that the same thing shows up, right? You can
Hmm.
find yourself in a similar situation years later. Like, am I repeating something? Am I having a chance to do it over, do it better, to, exercise more of my truth here? Because it's vulnerable, you know what I mean? Like, it's a very vulnerable thing to be transparent, to be open, and to say your truth. Um, so I get that it can be scary if we have this idea of what people expect of us and
Hmm.
how that may differ from who we actually are. Hypocrisy, when we talk about, the way we live our lives, how we present that, the difference between how we live our lives and what is actually true and what we're trying to sell to someone else, how it's more of a detriment to ourselves more than anyone else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I know that when we talk, we can go around, but it's all related, and it all comes back to, at the end of the day, do you love yourself enough to not destroy yourself into a false sense of self?
So that was perfect. I don't have anything to add to that. I love that. I really think that that was the best wrap up. Like, that was perfectly stated, and it goes to the heart of what we have been sharing thoughts on through this conversation. I appreciate your time, your support. I love you. I'm so happy that you're a guest on the podcast, and hopefully you will not be a stranger.
Oh no, I'm never a stranger. I'm only a phone call away. Thank you for having me, and congratulations on the podcast. I know that um, these talks we have all the time, so this is only inevitable that we could share our thoughts and our experiences to the world, and hopefully somebody will learn something from it, or even spark a conversations within their own circle. So I'm
And
happy
that's
to be
that's
here.
oh, thank you. And that's the point. That's the point. Hopefully it will give people another way to look at something, or just be a fly on the wall and enjoy a conversation. I appreciate you for making time to listen in to this episode of Unshaved. Thank you. I genuinely hope you've enjoyed the show. If you have questions or suggestions for topics to explore, please email unshaved.podcast@gmail.com. Be sure to indicate if you'd like to be mentioned if your feedback or questions are addressed. I take it that you've enjoyed the content since you've made it this far. Depending on the platform you're hearing this on, let me know so we can really engage with one another. So drop a comment, click the star, download, subscribe, applaud, click the like button, and share this with others. Unshaved is on Facebook and Instagram. Also, you can show the show some love through donations on Anchor. Last but not least, remember you can turn on your notifications so you'll know when we're back with new episodes. Till then, let's continue to live with love and light.